When the GX-2012 comes out of its startup sequence, it enters into measuring mode and is in normal operation if no alarm indications are taking place. In the normal operating screen of measuring mode, the battery level and gas concentrations for each channel are displayed on the LCD. The battery level is in the upper right corner. A fan symbol, also located in the upper right corner, indicates that the pump is operating. A flashing heart symbol indicates that the instrument's microprocessor is operating properly. If the heart symbol stops blinking or disappears, there is a problem with the microprocessor. Combustible gas is displayed as a percentage of the lower explosive limit, %LEL. Oxygen is displayed as a volume percentage, vol percent. H2S and CO as parts per million, ppm. Take the GX-2012 to the monitoring area. If the tapered rubber nozzle is used, put the nozzle tip in the area to be monitored. If the hose and probe is used, put the probe tip in the area to be monitored. Wait 10 to 15 seconds and observe the display for gas readings. If a reading is observed, allow the reading to stabilize to determine the gas concentrations present. The GX-2012 can support two combustible gas sensors, a TC thermal conductivity sensor for detection in the % volume range and a catalytic sensor for detection in the % LEL range. Either or both sensors may be installed in your unit. If both the % volume and % LEL sensors are installed, the combustible gas channel is set up at the factory as % LEL / % volume auto-ranging. In this case, the combustible gas channel will display the combustible gas concentration in % LEL up to 100% LEL. If the combustible gas concentration rises above 100% LEL, then the unit automatically begins displaying the concentration in % volume. If the combustible channel is set for % volume only, then there are no gas alarms for any detection channel. There are three issues to keep in mind when monitoring for combustible gas. If your GX-2012 is equipped with both combustible sensors, then the % LEL sensor will be exposed to combustible gas concentrations above its working range during monitoring and calibration. The GX-2012 provides the % LEL sensor with protection against exposure to high levels of combustible gas. It does this by turning off the % LEL sensor power temporarily when it determines that a % LEL overscale, more than 100% LEL, concentration of combustible gas is present that may damage the sensor. When this happens, over is displayed below the gas list, and the display units to the right of the combustible gas channel change to % volume. Silicone vapors and chlorine and fluorine compounds, such as chlorinated hydrocarbons, can damage the % LEL sensor. These compounds should be avoided. If exposure to these compounds is suspected, verify the % LEL response on a known gas sample. Although the standard factory setup and calibration for the combustible gas channel is to methane, CH4, the combustible sensors will respond to other combustible gases as well. The table shown lists the conversion factors for several hydrocarbon gases for the % LEL combustible sensor if it is calibrated to methane. Conversion factors are not available for the % volume TC sensor. To use this table, multiply the display reading on the combustible gas channel by the factor in the appropriate row to obtain the actual gas concentration. For example, if you are detecting pentane and the display reads 10% LEL on the combustible gas channel, you actually have 10% LEL times 1.35 equals 13.5% LEL pentane present. The snap logging function allows the user to record data at a specific time and have it saved to the data logger. The data is assigned a SnapLog ID and is saved with the station ID that was in use when the data was taken. To take a snap log, press and hold the Shift button, then press and hold the Air button, and hold both until you hear a beep. The unit will cycle through the following screens. The first screen displays what snap log ID will be given to this particular set of data. The second screen displays the station ID. The third screen displays the year, month, day, and time of the snap log. The fourth screen displays the current gas readings. To take a snap log of the current gas readings, press and release the Power Enter button. Once the Power Enter button is pressed, the unit will display saved and remain in snap log mode. To exit the snap log mode, press and release the Display Adjust button. The unit will immediately return to the normal operations screen. The data recorded by snap logs can be viewed in display mode. To reset latching alarms, press and release the Reset Silence button after the gas reading falls below the alarm set point or above for oxygen warning. If the alarms are self-resetting, then alarm condition will automatically reset when the gas reading that caused the alarm decreases below the alarm set point or increases above for oxygen. With alarm silence set to off in maintenance mode, you cannot silence the buzzer while the gas reading is beyond the low alarm setting. An overrange condition may indicate an extreme combustible gas, toxic gas, or oxygen content condition. Take immediate action and confirm the gas levels in the area with a different GX-2012 or with another gas detecting device. Determine which gas alarm has been activated. Follow your established procedure for an increasing gas condition. Reset the alarm using the Reset Silence button once the alarm condition has cleared. Calibrate the GX-2012 as described in the calibration section of the manual. If the overrange condition continues, you may need to replace the sensor that has triggered the overrange alarm. If the overrange condition continues after you have replaced the sensor, contact RKI Instruments for further instructions. The GX-2012 is not operational as a gas monitoring device during a dead battery alarm. Take the GX-2012 to a non-hazardous area. The GX-2012 is fully functional during a low battery warning. However, the GX-2012 has only 2 or 3 hours of operating time left after the low battery warning has been triggered. If a sensor failure occurs, determine which sensor has triggered the sensor failure alarm. Try calibrating the sensor before replacing it. If the sensor failure continues, replace the sensor. If the sensor failure condition continues after you have replaced the sensor, contact RKI Instruments for further instructions. If a clock failure alarm occurs, the internal unit date has been changed to something unreasonable like month 15 or day 34. Press and release the Reset Silence button to continue into normal operation. There will be no data logging function if you operate the instrument after a clock failure. Attempt to change the date using the Date menu time in maintenance mode. If the date cannot be set correctly, contact RKI Instruments as soon as possible. If a system failure occurs, the system failure screen will display an error code. Explanations for the various error codes are shown in this table. If the error code is anything but 031, the instrument cannot be used. Contact RKI Instruments as soon as possible. If the error code is 031, you may press and release the Reset Silence button to continue to normal operation if the instrument must be used temporarily. There will be no data logging function if you operate the instrument after a 031 system failure. If your unit experiences a microprocessor failure, the heart symbol at the top of the screen will be steadily on or steadily off. The unit cannot be used in this case. Contact RKI Instruments as soon as possible. In display mode, you can set the combustible gas channel range, display peak readings, display STEL and TWA readings for H2S and CO only, display values for full scale, warning, alarm, STEL, and TWA. You can also display time in operation, display the date and time, display remaining log time, clear the data logger, turn the pump on or off, select a user ID, select a station ID, display snap logging data, and turn peak bar function on or off. You can access display mode while in measuring mode by pressing and releasing the display adjust button. The backlight will turn on and the HC range screen will appear. Use the display adjust button to scroll between screens. If you do not press a button for 20 seconds, the instrument will return to normal operation. The HC range screen displays only if your GX-2012 is equipped with both the catalytic percent LEL combustible sensor and the TC percent volume combustible sensor. It allows you to select the display units for the combustible channel as percent LEL, percent volume auto-ranging, or percent volume. If auto-ranging is selected, the combustible gas reading will be displayed in percent LEL up to 100% LEL, which is equivalent to 5% volume for methane, CH4. Above 100% LEL, it will be displayed in percent volume. If percent volume is selected, the combustible gas reading will be displayed in percent volume only. If the combustible channel is set for percent volume only, then there are no gas alarms for any detection channel, and no alarm will appear in the upper left corner of the screen. To update the HC range setting, after entering display mode and arriving at the HC range screen, press and release the power enter button. The current setting will appear at the bottom of the LCD. Use the air or shift button to change the setting. Press the power enter button to save the change. Press the display adjust button to advance to the next screen. The peak screen displays the highest concentrations detected, or lowest for oxygen, since the GX-2012 was turned on. Peak readings are stored in the GX-2012's memory until a higher level is detected. The peak reading is reset, or the GX-2012 is turned off. To reset the peak readings during operation, press and hold the Reset Silence button for a few seconds while in the peak screen. Press and release the Display Adjust button again to proceed to the STEL screen. The STEL values for CO and H2S are displayed. The STEL reading is the average reading during the last 15 minutes. Press and release the Display Adjust button again to proceed to the TWA screen. The TWA values for CO and H2S are displayed. The TWA reading is the average reading during the last 8 hours. If 8 hours have not elapsed since the last time the TWA reading was cleared, the average is still calculated over 8 hours. The missing time is assigned a 0 value for readings. Press and release the Display Adjust button again to proceed to the Alarm Point screen. The Alarm Point screen allows you to view each channel's alarm settings for full scale, warning, alarm, STEL, and TWA. STEL and TWA apply to CO and H2S only. Press and release the Power Enter button to enter the Alarm Point screen. The full-scale settings will be displayed. Use the Air or Shift buttons to scroll through the full scale, TWA, STEL, alarm, and warning setting screens. If you press and release the Power Enter button while in any of these screens, the unit will simulate that condition. Press and release the Power Enter button again to stop the simulation. Press and release the Display Adjust button again to proceed to the Operation Time screen. The Operation Time screen displays the time in minutes since the GX-2012 was last turned on. The operation time may be continued from the last time the GX-2012 was in operation by using the lunch break option. Press and release the Display Adjust button again to proceed to the Date Time screen. The Date Time screen displays the current date and time with the order being year, month, day, and time. Press and release the Display Adjust button again to proceed to the Remaining Log Time screen. The Remaining Log Time screen displays the time remaining until the data logger memory is full. The remaining log time depends on how often the GX-2012 stores data to the data log and how many channels are active and how often the GX-2012 is turned on and off. The table shown illustrates how much data logging time is available for the various interval times. It assumes that the unit is set up with all 5 sensors and there are no alarm occurrences. Press and release the Display Adjust button again to proceed to the Clear Data Logger screen. This item appears in display mode only if data logging display is turned on in maintenance mode. The Clear Data Logger screen allows you to clear the data logger storage. Once you clear the data logger, you cannot retrieve any data previously stored in the data logger. To clear the data logger, press and release the Power Enter button. The GX-2012 displays 4 dashes, and as the GX-2012 clears the data, the dashes disappear. When the last dash is gone, the GX-2012 has been cleared and the remaining log time value is reset. Press and release the Display Adjust button again to proceed to the Pump Off screen. This item appears in display mode only if Pump Off display is turned on in maintenance mode. The GX-2012 pump can be turned on and off in this screen. This feature can be used to conserve battery life if there is a significant period of time until the next gas monitoring task, but you do not want to wait for the warm-up sequence to complete if you turn the instrument off and on again. In this screen, press Power Enter to turn the pump off. The fan in the upper right corner of the screen will disappear. Once the pump is off, you cannot exit this screen and return to normal operation or continue in display mode until you turn the pump back on. To turn the pump back on and continue in display mode or return to normal operation, press the Power Enter button again. Press and release the Display Adjust button again to proceed to the User ID screen. This screen displays only if ID display in the maintenance mode menu is set to on. Each ID contains 8 characters. Uppercase letters, numbers, asterisks, dashes, and a blank space are available characters. The GX-2012 can store 128 user IDs. Use this screen to identify or change the user. The user ID provides a way to identify the user during a data logging session. The user ID is saved to the data logger for that session when you turn off the GX-2012 or change users during operation. This allows you to change the user ID during operation and have each user ID that was used during an operating session saved for the corresponding data. To change the user ID, press and release the Power Enter button. Use the Air and Shift buttons to scroll through the 128 possible user IDs. Press the Power Enter button to select a user ID. Press and release the Display Adjust button again to proceed to the Station ID screen. This screen displays only if ID display in the maintenance mode menu is set to on. Each ID contains 8 characters. Uppercase letters, numbers, asterisks, dashes, and a blank space are available characters. The GX-2012 can store 128 station IDs. Use this screen to identify or change the station. The station ID provides a way to identify the station during a data logging session. The station ID is saved to the data logger for that session when you turn off the GX-2012 or change stations during operation. This allows you to change the station ID during operation and have each station ID that was used during an operating session saved for the corresponding data. To change the station ID, press and release the Power Enter button. Use the Air and Shift buttons to scroll through the 128 possible station IDs. Press the Power Enter button to select a station ID. Press and release the Display Adjust button to proceed to the Snap Logging screen. The Snap Logging screen allows you to view data from previous snap logs. To view snap log data, press and release the Power Enter button. If no snap logs have been performed, the No Data screen will appear. If snap logs have been performed, the following screen will appear. This screen indicates the year, month, day, and time that the most recent snap log was taken. The number along the bottom of the screen indicates the snap log ID number. The first snap log that is taken is given an ID of M001. The next snap log ID is M002. Use the Air and Shift buttons to scroll through different snap log IDs and view what time they were taken. To view the data in a snap log ID, press and release the Power Enter button. The gas readings that were taken during the snap log are displayed, and the station ID that was in use during the snap log is displayed along the bottom of the screen. You can use the Air and Shift buttons to scroll through the different snap logs. The gas readings and station ID will change, but the snap log ID is not visible from this screen. If you wish to scroll through the different snap log IDs, you must press and release the Display Adjust button to return to the snap log screen and re-enter. Press and release the Display Adjust button again to proceed to the Peak Bar Select screen. The Peak Bar Select screen allows you to turn the peak bar on or off. The peak bar appears along the left side of the screen during normal operation and on the peak screen in display mode. It shows the peak readings for each channel in bar graph format. To adjust the peak bar selection, press and release the Power Enter button. Use the Air and Shift buttons to make your selection and press and release the Power Enter button. Press and release the Display Adjust button again to return to normal operation. The GX-2012 features the ability to log data to its internal memory and download it to a computer via the infrared communications port located just below the Reset Silence button. It logs gas readings during normal operation, alarm data, and calibration data. To utilize the GX-2012's downloading capability, you will need the GX-2012 downloading software and a computer with an infrared port or a USB port that runs one of the following operating systems: Windows XP, Windows Vista, or Windows 7. If your computer has an infrared port, then no additional accessories are needed to download data from the GX-2012. If your computer does not have an infrared port, but does have a USB port, a USB IRDA adapter cable can be used to download data from the GX-2012 using a USB port.